Hello, good morning. Welcome to a recording of an Ashtanga Vinyasa Flow. We're going to start with Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift for a straight, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back for plank. Shift forward as you exhale down to Chaturanga. Inhale, untucking your toes to upward facing dog. Exhaling, push back to downward facing dog. Since this is our first downward facing dog of practice, you might want to spend some time here to just get acclimated to the pose. Maybe bend one knee and then the other. Pedal your feet out as you stretch your hamstrings and your ankles. Come up to your toes. Sink your knees down. Push your hips back to really bring those sit bones up to find elongation in the spine. Inhale one foot and the other foot forward up to halfway lift, bending your knees as far as you need to, and then coming up for high mountain. Exhale, hands at your side. We'll do this several more times. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. You can grab your ankles here for a little bit of an extra stretch in the hamstring, again, as we're still getting warmed up. When you're ready, inhale to halfway lift, planting the hands, and then stepping back into plank. Shifting forward before you exhale, down to Chaturanga. Inhale, untucking the toes, upward facing dog. Exhaling, pushing back to downward facing dog. Again, a couple of breaths here. Inhale. When you're ready, bend your knees and again lift those sit bones high up for elongation in the spine. Look between your hands, step one foot, then the other forward. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And when you're ready, inhaling up to mountain. Exhaling your hands at heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plank. Breath here. Exhale down to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Look between your hands. Step your feet forward. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale for forward fold. Inhaling up for high mountain. Exhale, mountain. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant your hands, step back to plank. Exhale, Chaturanga. Untucking the toes, inhaling for upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Making sure that you're grounded in your hands. Weight should be at the mounds of your feet, of your fingers. And the palms of your hands should be flat on the ground. Inhaling up, exhaling, hands at your side. And now we're getting ready for Surya Namaskar B. So you inhale. Oh, I'm sorry, not quite yet. Still one more, I think. So we do inhale our arms up, exhale forward fold. We inhaled for halfway lift. Exhale, we planted our hands, step back for plank, down Chaturanga, and now we're here in upward facing dog. Pushing back to downward facing dog. More breaths here. Stepping between, feet up between your hands. Inhaling for flat back, halfway lift. Exhaling for forward fold. Inhaling up to mountain. All right. I think this is what I thought we were going to do next. Surya Namaskar B, chair. So you start in mountain, sit your hips down and back for chair, arms coming up alongside your ears. Exhaling for forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, gaze is in between your hands. Inhale here, exhaling your feet back for plank, down to chaturanga. Inhale, untucking the toes for upward facing dog. Exhaling, pushing back to downward facing dog. And this time we're going to inhale our leg, one leg up between our hand, and then we're going to go into warrior one. Inhaling up, making sure that you're engaged in the back leg as well as the front knee or the front thigh, externally rotating, and shifting those hips so that they're square to the front of the room. Standing here nice and tall before you plant your hands down, step the right foot back for plank. Exhaling down chaturanga. Inhaling, untucking the toes for upward facing dog. And exhaling, rolling over the toes back to downward facing dog. So the difference between Surya Namaskar A and B is the addition of chair as well as warrior one. So now for warrior one on the left. Again, making sure those hips are square to the front of the room. Making sure that that back leg, the foot is at about a 45-degree angle, and that whole leg should be nice and engaged. Feet should be firmly planted. Plant your hands down, stepping back for plank. Exhaling chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. And exhaling for downward dog. So we do the Surya Namaskar A and B 5 times each. So this definitely warms up your whole body, getting everything activated before we move on to the other sequences in the series. So now inhaling, right foot, and then left foot up, forward fold, or excuse me, halfway lift. Exhaling down to forward fold. And inhaling back to chair. Sitting here for a few breaths before we exhale to mountain. Now we do it again 4 more times. Inhale, arms up, sinking your hips down and back for chair. Tucking the tailbone so you're not too much arched in the lower back. Exhaling to forward fold, shifting the weight slightly forward to your toes so that your hips are stacked over your knees, are stacked over your ankles. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your feet back to plank. Exhale, down, chaturanga. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, push back to downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Where we inhale our right leg up, planting that back foot down at a 45-degree angle, lifting up for warrior one. Really reaching up high as you sink those hips down and low. Stepping back into plank. Shifting forward, lowering down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, pushing back to downward facing dog. Take as many breaths here as you'd like. Body is warm, starting to sweat, making sure you're staying connected to your breath. Downward dog is a good time to do that. Stepping your left foot forward for warrior one. Really engaging in those legs, sinking those hips down for a deeper reach in the pose. Exhaling down for plank. Through chaturanga, inhaling upward facing dog. Exhaling downward facing dog. Breathe here. When you're ready, look between your hands, step one foot and then the other to halfway lift. Exhaling for forward fold. Inhaling, sinking those hips down and back for chair. Gaze should be forward. And exhaling to mountain. Sink the hips back for chair. Inhale here and exhale for forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. When you're ready, plant your hands, step your feet back for plank. Exhaling down for chaturanga, inhaling upward facing dog. Exhaling downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward for warrior one. Inhaling up nice and strong. Reaching high through the arms, sinking the hips down, externally rotating that right thigh, keeping that left leg nice and strong as well. Planting the hands and stepping back for plank, chaturanga, and upward facing dog. Inhale here and exhale, downward facing dog. It's a good time to take a few breaths to catch your breath if you need to. Inhale your left foot up between your hands. Well, not quite, up to your left hand, really. Planting the right foot back for warrior one on the left side. Again, checking in with those hips as many times as you need to make sure that they're squared with the front of the room as you sit up nice and tall. Exhaling, planting the hands, stepping the foot back, down to chaturanga, upward facing dog, and exhaling, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Inhale one foot, then the other up between your hands, halfway lift, forward fold, and sinking those hips down and back for chair. Inhaling here and exhaling to come to mountain. Let's do it again. Sink those hips down and back for chair. Exhale, forward fold. Stacking the hips over the knees, over the ankles, a nice straight line. Halfway lift. Plant your hands, step back for plank. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog. Exhaling, downward dog. Through that whole series, plank, chaturanga, upward dog, make sure that your core is nice and engaged. You're not sort of sinking in through your lower back or your shoulder, between your shoulder blades or anything like that. Alignment's really important there. It'll help you be and stay nice and strong. Okay, from downward dog, you know the routine. Step your right foot forward for warrior one. Step that foot back, go through the chaturanga one more time, staying nice and strong in the core and the lower back. Shoulders down away from your ears, even in upward dog. Exhaling back to downward dog. When you're ready, you step your left foot forward for warrior one on the left side, planting that back foot, making sure the outer edge of your foot is grounded down. Feel strong and stable here. And stable here. Plant your hands, set back, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. If you're anything like me, you are really feeling it right now. You're sweating, you're tired, you're wondering, how many more do I have to do? Maybe I'll cut out that last one. But keep it up, keep going. Just make sure that your alignment stays strong. If you're getting so tired that you're sacrificing your alignment, then modify. Inhale to chair. Nice and strong in those feet, in those thighs, in the core, and exhaling to mountain. Take some time here if you need to. Shake it out. It gets really, after doing 5 Surya Namaskars A and 5 Surya Namaskar B, you're really starting to feel it in your whole body. That's why it's such a good thing to do in the beginning, because it's truly a full body workout. So from here, we're going to go into Padangusthasana and Padahastasana. So hinging from your hips, fold forward. Grab those big toes and use your arms to pull yourself down to find more lengthening in the hamstring here. If you can't grab your toes, you can grab your ankles, you can grab your pants, you can use a strap to help, you can put your hands on blocks. And then we'll do it again. Inhale up and then exhale. This time we're going to go into Padahastasana. Sometimes they call it gorilla. And you place your soles of your feet to come to the palms of your hands. And this again will help you find a nice stretch of the backside body. Even the back, the hamstrings definitely, but even the back and the shoulders will get a nice stretch here. You can keep your knees bent or you can straighten them, it's up to you. Inhale your hands to your hips, coming up nice and tall. Now we're going to go into triangle as we get into this standing sequence. Making sure, so first from mountain, stepping your right foot back, and then you want that right foot to run perpendicular to the left foot. So the left foot, the outer edge of the left foot should be parallel to the front of your mat. Right foot perpendicular to it for heel to arch alignment. Put your arms out as a T, and then you'll reach out. And then when you can't reach any further, you fold down. Now you can have your hands on your thigh or on your shin or on blocks, but that reaching is gonna help make sure that you're really elongating the spine to find length in both the right and left side body, and that you're not crunching in on that side. Same thing now to the left. So you just shift your foot position, keeping the hips square, open to the side of the room. Reaching out, and when you can't reach any further, then you can bend from your waist. And you want to sort of find opening here in the chest, so that raised top arm, really open up there. Inhaling back up. Now we'll get ready for, I think we're going to do pyramid here. Yes, now we're going to go into pyramid. Both legs straight. And this time notice how the left foot is similar to that warrior one back foot, where the foot is at about a 45-degree angle. Your hips should be square to the back of the room and weight evenly distributed over both feet. Exhale here, bend, hinge from the hips, bend down, gaze at your big toe. Arms can be either in prayer or you can grab opposite elbows. When you're ready, inhale up and switch position for the pyramid on the left side. Again, making sure those legs are nice and engaged. The knees should be lifted, thighs should be engaged, feet firmly planted, hips equal and square to the front of the room. Inhale back up. Now we're going to go into revolved pyramid. Exhaling back down, this time placing your hand to the outer side of your, outer ankle, and really twisting here. You can have that raised, my arm is raised here. You can have that hand on your sacrum. You can have it on your low back. But you want to again find opening in the chest. Now we're going to switch sides. Again, those feet in warrior one feet with the back foot also pointed forward. Hinging from your hips. Gaze at your big toe. Bring that left hand to the outer right ankle as you inhale and open up. Opening up your chest towards the side of the room. Making sure those hips stay square and level. Again, taking the hand variation that works best for you. Placing the hands back on the hips as you inhale to come up. And step to the front, to the top of your mat. I think here we're now going to go into extended side angle. Here the feet should be, the back foot will be parallel to the back edge of your mat. The front foot will be perpendicular to it, again finding a heel to arch alignment. Really sinking low into that bent right thigh. You can place your hand on your thigh, your forearm on your thigh, or the hand on your mat. Swinging that left arm down and up and around, finding a nice line from the outer edge of your back foot all the way through your fingertips. When you're ready, inhale up, exhale. We'll switch sides. Again, those hips are open to the side of the room. The back leg is engaged. The right arm comes to your thigh or the ground or a block. That left arm swings down and up, finding a straight line from the ankle all the way to the fingertips. Inhale back up. And step to the front of your mat. We're now going to step back and go through a series of wide-legged forward folds. Alignment here is making sure that your ankles are under your wrists. Place your hands on your hips as you exhale to fold down. Placing your hands down on the mat or a block. Find length here in the back side body. Elbows can come to a bend. Inhale, halfway lift, placing your hands on your hips. Exhale to come up tall. Inhale here for a straight, elongated spine. Exhale, hinge from your hips. And this time we're going to stay with our hands on our hips here. Finding that backside body stretch. Inhaling, halfway lift. Up, tall, to stand tall. One more time. Inhale, exhale. Hinge from your hips. Bending all the way down. And this time, grab your big toes, grab a strap, grab your ankle, your calf. Use the strength in your arms to help find a deeper expression in the pose. Maybe after doing all of those forward folds in the Surya Namaskar A and B and everything else, you can find a little bit more length here. But do make sure that your quads and your hamstrings are engaged as you find this really deep pose, just to make sure that you're protecting all of your muscle groups. Inhale, flat back. And exhale. Stand nice and tall. Come to the front of your mat. Wipe the sweat. Oh. And from here, we're going to do a standing balancing pose. Inhale that right foot up. Grab that right toe. You can grab the toe. You can grab the knee if that's where you are in your practice. And you can maybe come to extend that foot out and the leg out in front of you. And then perhaps opening up to the side. When you're ready, when you find balance and stability, you can open up the left hand and looking over your left side. Inhaling back through center. Letting go with the hands and finding your balance. Keeping that leg lifted to find a little extra work in the quad there and the hip flexors. Now to the left side. Again, you can keep your hands on your hips, you can grab your shin, you can grab your toes, stay there, or you can extend your leg out in front of you. If you've extended your leg out, or even if not, you can still open up that hip, even if you're grabbing the ankle or the knee. And then extending the right hand out, looking over your right side, coming back through center before releasing the toe and keeping that leg extended out in front of you, keeping that foot lifted nice and high. Breathe straight back, don't lean too far back. And exhale, step your feet down. Check it out here if you need to. All right, it's getting nice and hot and sweaty. Okay. From here, we're going to go into like a standing half lotus. So you want to, almost like you're going to go into tree pose, grab your ankle and bring it up to your straight standing leg, the outside of that thigh, sorry, underneath or right at your hip flexor. And then with your left hand, you can grab from behind, grab that foot. If you can't reach it, you can grab your hand or your wrist. If you can reach it, if you got the bind, maybe consider bending forward. Once you're there, you can place your hand down, let go of the bind, and bring the second hand down. You can go into a standing an arm balance here if you'd like. I thought about it, but I decided to come back up. Inhaling back up and slowly getting out of it the same thoughtful, calm way you got back in, to make sure you're protecting your hip and your knee and that really deep hip opener. Stepping out, shaking it out if you need to, getting ready to go into the same standing half lotus on the right side. Here, my right hip is not quite as open as my left, so you'll be able to see the modification here. So still bring the foot to the top of the thigh, lift it up as high as you can comfortably go. The knee is in a very sensitive position here, so you want to make sure it's protected. So no yanking or pulling or brute force, none of that. Be happy to stop here. I can't quite get that bind, so my hand is on my wrist here. I found that I wasn't quite in alignment as much as I wanted to be, so I decided to even let go of the wrist and just bring my other hand to the top of my foot as well. Still finding a great hip opener here. Still standing nice and tall, but I'm able to find a little bit more ease and comfort here because I'm not straining and pulling and all of that, trying to force myself into the bind when my body is not ready for it. Again, slowly, methodically, coming out of that pose, Shaking it out if you need to. Now we're going to go into some familiar territory. Stepping to the front of your mat, arms up, sinking hips down and back for chair. We'll stay here for a little bit longer this time since we're not immediately going into Surya Namaskar B. Really finding length here in the spine. Your hips should be slightly tucked under. Core should be engaged. Thighs, legs should be engaged. Knees and feet should be parallel. Arms up alongside the ears. When you're ready, exhale to standing. Now we're going to go into Warrior One. Stepping your right foot back, swiveling your hips to face the back of the room. So you're in Warrior One on the right, facing the back. Bending the front right leg, making sure that back foot is grounded, the outer edge is grounded, foot is at about parallel. Feet are on skis here, right? So they should be parallel. You don't need to be in a straight line if that's not comfortable for you, depending on the width of your hips. Inhale your arms up nice and tall. When you're ready, exhaling, hands on your hips, straighten the leg and swivel hips to the front of the room so that you can go for Warrior One on the left side. Making sure that your hips are square to the front. We have a tendency for that, the hip with the back leg to be sort of open to the side, but we really want those hips to be square. So take some time here finding square as you work your way up mentally with alignment from your feet through the engagement of your legs. Knee is bent, but not over the ankle. It should be stacked right above the ankle at about 90 degrees. And then from here, you'll open up the hips to the side of the room as we prepare to go into Warrior Two. On the left side here, that thigh should be externally rotated. So the knee also should be stacked over the ankle. The right leg should be straight. That foot is parallel to the outer side of your mat. And the arms are out to a T, nice and strong, fingertips finding opposite reach. Swiveling so that you're now doing it on the right side. Hips again open to the front of the room. And now that what was the back knee is now the front knee. Goes from straight to bent, knee over ankle, externally rotating. Notice that your shoulders are stacked over your hips. Arms are out nice and strong. Back leg is engaged and active. Bring your hands to your hips as you straighten that back leg. Slowly bring those feet together and step to the top of your mat. Here we're going to pass through a vinyasa as we begin the seated sequence. So inhale your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling to halfway lift. Exhaling to plant your hands, stepping your feet back for plank. Inhaling here and exhaling down, chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog, untucking the toes. And exhaling, pushing back to downward facing dog. From here, I'm going to attempt to jump through. It's kind of a crisscross leg thing that I can't quite manage. But you look between your hands, and as you sort of jump your legs through under your legs, you cross your ankles. So you kind of land in Sukhasana, like a crisscross position. From here, straighten your legs. We're going into Dandasana. Remove the flesh from your sit bones so you can sit nice and flat. You can use a pillow here too if you'd like to use a pillow underneath your butt so that you're more comfortable here. Your legs can be bent or they can be straight. If you aren't quite able to grab your toes, that's okay. You can grab your ankle, you can grab your shin, your pants, pant legs. Notice the dragonflies as they, the dragonfly as it sort of like photo bombs you. Inhale here, fold forward. We're gonna go into another expression of Tadasana. First was, Paschimottanasana. Um, this one we're gonna grab the big toes and using those arms to help us find a slightly deeper expression. And from here, we sort of do those. Oh, actually, first we're gonna go into upward plank, bringing your hands to the outside of your hips, lifting your hips up, opening your chest, your throat, your torso up to the sky. And from here, we're going to cross our ankles, propel our body forward, and we go back into plank. Exhaling to chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. Again, here, doing that little jump crisscross maneuver. That's my modified version because I can't quite do the full expression of it, but the folks who know what they're doing can cross their legs and come all the way through without it being clunky and all of that, and they land and with their legs straight in front of them. It's quite impressive. But now we're in Janushree-sasana, so the left foot comes to the inside of the right thigh. That left knee is coming towards the ground. Inhale your arms up and exhale to come into a nice forward fold over your extended right leg. On the opposite side here, you'll see, again, not quite as open. My knee is a little bit up. You can put a block underneath your knee, a towel, a blanket, a cushion. Inhale your arms up and twist slightly so that you come to a forward fold over the extended leg. And exhale, grabbing your ankle, calf, pant leg, using a strap around your foot, grabbing your big toes, whatever is accessible to you, exhaling down to finding a nice stretch in the backside body, especially in that left hamstring. Making sure again that your quad and hamstrings are engaged to really protect your muscles. And finding a slight micro bend in the knee as well. Bringing that foot up, extending it out for Dandasana. And then we're going to go into Marichyasana. So you'll inhale your left foot to coming flat close to your groin, knee nice and bent. That left arm will reach around the outside of your bent left leg, and the right arm will meet it behind you. Inhaling for a nice twist, exhaling for a deeper twist, inhaling for elongation of the spine. So here you'll see on this other side, the bind. Bring that right foot up, plant the sole of your foot along the inside of your left thigh, close to your groin. That right arm comes to wrap around the shin as the left arm grabs it from behind. Inhaling for length, exhaling to twist deeper here. That left leg extended straight and it should still be engaged. Now go ahead and straighten out those legs. Cross your legs, come over to the top of those legs for plank. Exhaling, downward dog. Inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, pushing back for downward dog. Again, jump crisscross to seated. That little maneuver you're actually supposed to do between each pose in the seated sequence, but clearly I've skipped a couple. Now we're going to go into boat pose. So this is a little bit balance, a little bit core work, a little bit quad work here. So you'll want to tilt slightly back, bring the soles of your feet to the mat, lean your torso slightly backward as you lift one leg and then the other, extending the arms out once you found your balance, and then breathing there. You can continue to hold your legs up as I do here for a moment. This is fantastic. If you're ready, you can extend those arms out beside you, beside your legs. Really engaging the core and the quads. Shoulders back and down, arms nice and strong. Planting those feet, coming into a little bit of a break. Take a couple of breaths here. I think the true Ashtanga Vinyasa does that 5 times. I do it 3. Do it again, and this time see if you can straighten your legs. You really want to feel your thighs and your torso find some closeness there. It's not only about balance, it's about really engaging your core and your quads. I like to add in a couple of crunches here for additional abdominal work. So I just sort of lean my torso back and extend my feet forward and then come up, bringing my torso and bending my knees, hovering off the ground here. So nothing is touching the ground other than my butt. I usually do about 10 of those. From here, we're gonna go into Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana. Tanasana. Grab your big toes here, or you can use a strap and then sit back, kind of like we do in boat. But here we extend our legs up with while we're grabbing our big toes, and then we open our legs up wide, like we're in a wide leg forward fold, still grabbing those big toes. This is interesting because the more you push against your feet, the easier it is to balance without falling backwards. It's almost like you want to tug in opposite directions in order to find that balance. So when you're done, had enough of that one, cross your legs, coming forward over your legs, and then extending the feet out, coming down to plank, down, exhaling down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhaling, downward dog. Again, crisscross jump through here. And now we'll begin our finishing sequence as we prepare to wrap up. First, we'll go into bridge for a little bit of a back bend. Bringing those heels of your feet, laying down your back, bringing the heels of your feet close to your butt, soles planted on the ground. Inhale your hips up, engaging the inner thigh here, so pretend like you're squeezing a block between your knees. Tucking the shoulder blades down behind you, you can grab either the side of your mat or you can interlace your fingers underneath you. Lifting through the hips. Exhaling down one vertebrae at a time, and then maybe windshield wipering the knees. We'll go into it a second time again, bringing those feet close, lifting up through the hips, bringing those shoulder blades back underneath you. Really deep belly breathing here. You can see my belly and my diaphragm really working as I inhale deeply and exhale completely. Lowering down one vertebrae at a time. And again, windshield wipering the hips. From here, we're going to go into inversions. So we'll do first plow, bring the Feet back behind you to come rest on the floor behind your head, lifting the feet up and using your arms to help guide your feet back. And then when you're ready, you can place your hands at your low back, lift one leg and then the other up for shoulder stand. Try as you can here to make sure that those arms, the upper arms, aren't splaying out. You'll find if the closer they come together, the lower down, or up rather, you'll be able to walk your hands and you'll find a fuller extension of the pose here. Breathing here, making sure to keep your neck straight, looking up towards your toes. Don't move from side to side, just to make sure that you're nice and safe in this posture. Breathing here, finding some stillness. And when you're ready, we're going to exhale and release our feet down over your head, coming out the same way we came in, rolling down one vertebrae at a time to bring your legs towards the ground, trying not to break any glass doors. And first, before we get out of this, we want to go into a counter pose. So we'll do fish here. So place the palms of your hands flat on the ground and sit your butt on top of your hands. So your arms will be bent here. Shift your weight forward and place the crown of your head on the mat so that there's a nice arch in the back. Legs are extended straight out in front of you. Really find your forehead, throat, heart, abdominal muscles shining up in front of you. And if you'd like, you can bring your legs up and your arms up to find a quick little core engagement. From here, you can come rolling up to come sit. We're going to enter into a headstand. So first, you want to bring your forearms down, measure the distance between your elbows, making sure your hands aren't too wide and your arms aren't too wide, interlacing your fingers, tucking in the pinkies, and then bringing the crown of your head towards your hands with the sort of where the forehead, the hairline meets the forehead down onto the mat. This was a struggle for me. I'm not quite sure why, but it just wasn't quite in my practice at that moment. So I did the best I could at that time, came down, brought my knees down, checked my engagement of my shoulders, tried again, came up to my tippy toes, walked my toes up so that my hips came over my shoulders, and tried to bring one leg up and then the other, and it didn't quite work. So I decided to take a time out. I stayed there for just a moment. And I lifted, decided to give it another go, brought my hips up, straightened those legs, walked those feet back, and just stayed here for a moment. If that's where your headstand is, that is fantastic. There's so many ways to modify. There's so many points where you can stop to make sure that the pose is accessible to you. The full expression of the pose does not need to be where you are. You are where you are. And one day from the next is different. Take some time in child's pose here. Consider trying again or consider moving on. If you try again, recheck your alignment, check the position of your hands, interlace those fingers, placing the head down, engaging through the shoulders nice and strong, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, straightening the knees, walking the toes up, 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 one by one. Perhaps lift one leg and then feel the other leg come up. All I needed was a little bit of a break and a second go at it. I didn't quite reach the full expression, but I was able to find stillness and tranquility here. Getting out of it was a bit clunky, but I made it there. I had to be patient with myself. I had to check in with my ego too. Why was it that I wanted to try again? Was it an ego thing? Was my ego telling me that I needed to do it to prove something? Or was it just that I felt like a second chance would be what was right for me? Another go at it would be good. And I wanted to just give it another chance, to have a little bit more faith, talk myself off the ledge of being afraid of falling. Stay in child's pose for a while to make sure that you don't lift up too quickly and get dizzy. Stay there as long as you'd like. And when you're ready, come to Sukhasana, sitting crisscross, and then lift your hips, planting your hands next to your hips. Lift your hips up, really engaging in the shoulder girdle here. And we'll do this a couple of times. It's just a really nice way to work on the scapula as you feel it protract and really engage those upper back muscles. And when you're ready, find any last pose that you'd like to find before you go into Shavasana. Breathe, relax here, find comfort and stillness. I like to tuck my shoulders back behind me so that my shoulder blades are lying flat. I like to tuck in my tailbone here so that my lower back is not arched so much so that it's more comfortable. Legs and feet splaying open. And maybe do a full body scan here. Check in to see if there's any muscle in your body that's working now, although it might not need to be. Take a moment to relax and to breathe and let your body absorb that work that we've just been doing. When you're ready, begin to bring some movement into your body. As you bring your awareness back to where you are, you can perhaps wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, rotate the wrists, rotate the ankles. Begin to reconnect with your body here after taking that much needed time to let it relax. And when you're ready, perhaps bend your knees and roll over to one side. Use that forearm as a pillow. Then bring that top arm down to the mat, pressing down into it gently to help you rise up into a seated pose. From here, we'll just take a moment sitting cross-legged in Sukhasana, perhaps using a pillow or a block or a cushion underneath you. With your hands at heart center, take a moment to find gratitude. Gratitude for yourself for showing up to practice today. Gratitude for those who've come before us and laid the path for us to be here, and those who will come after us. Gratitude to the universe, the source of creation, for allowing us to be here today. May all beings be happy, be healthy, and free from suffering. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure.